my producers dug up the following quote from you in 2016 to Vanity Fair, and I really love to ask you about it. You said, "I think Donald Trump is dangerous and deceptive, and he's a demagogue. I don't think it should surprise anybody to see how well he's doing, because that kind of demagoguery is formulaic and it's easy. There are buttons that you can push of bigotry and xenophobia and prejudice and anger and self-interest and nationalism, false patriotism." So has your opinion of him changed since then?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think that's true. What I said then is true. I think the easiest thing for a politician to do is to appeal to that kind of darker side of people. And I think, he's very, very good at understanding where those kind of buttons are. I think what my dad tried to do was different and was much harder, which is to try to get people to believe that they're part of a community, to find kind of the hero in everybody, and a willingness to take risks and make sacrifices for the good of the whole. And when my dad died, one of my most poignant memories of him is when we waked him up in St. Patrick's and then brought him down on the train, and there was a couple million people on the tracks, but they were every color. There were Black people in Newark. We took them from New York down to Penn Station in Washington, or to Union Station in Washington, D.C. And there were these crowds of Blacks singing the Battle Hymn of the Republic in the train station, just jamming the train stations in Newark and Philadelphia and Baltimore. There were white veterans on the tracks the whole way down. I remember a group of about 6 or 9 nuns standing in the back of the pickup truck. There were Boy Scouts. There were Little Leaguers who were standing, saluting as we went by. It was a cross section of the American experience, and all these very different people who was supporting my dad. Now, 4 years later, I remember when I was at college and studying politics, and I read these demographic data that showed that 4 years after that, in 1972, so my dad died in 68. In 72, almost all of the white people who had been lining that track were voting not for George McGovern, who was very much aligned with my dad, but for George Wallace, who was antithetical to everything my father believed in.
Wow.
So the people who believed in who were willing to support my father's, and to put their prejudices, the nationalism, the false patriotism, and all this aside, and say, we're willing to buy into this idealistic view of America. 4 years later, they were done with it. And they were like, I got to protect myself. And I'm going to protect myself against other races and other colors and people who don't look like me. And, all the people who seem like they're out to get me. And, the people in this country today, and this is what I think the liberals have lost track of, the middle class is being systematically dismantled. People are getting screwed and they're angry. And the Liberal Party today is not offering them anything. It's not telling them, it's not validating their anger and their rage. It's telling them they're deplorable. And it's telling them, that they should have other concerns. And and I think that, Trump doesn't tell them that. Trump validates those concerns. And I think that makes him, and he's fearless, and he's, he has all these kind of manly qualities that are, the heroic figure on the white horse who's going to come in and save you. Do I think he's actually going to do that? No, I watched him collapse and fold in front of Anthony Fauci. But I think, and I don't think he has the patience to understand policy or to delve into it. And I don't, I think his approach is not about trying to solve the problems, but, to break things. And a lot of people want things broken right now. So, I completely, utterly understand his appeal. And I don't think those Americans who support him are bad people. I think they're the core of our country. And I think if we don't figure out a way to get Americans to start talking to each other about the values that we share, that our country is headed for a very, very dark place. And that, I think people who call themselves liberals have to remember what liberalism stood for, and that we were the party of the unions. We weren't the party that were defunding the police and that were telling people that inflation doesn't exist when they're getting crucified by it, and that are going to endless wars at at a time when gasoline prices just paid $7 a gallon for gasoline. We're paying for the Ukraine war with that. And
let me ask you something about that. I two questions for you on politics and war. Herschel Walker's been in the news, and his personal life is what's been in the news. And if the reports are true, and he denies many of them, he hasn't been a particularly great dad to the children that he's had and his various girlfriends have had. And he hasn't been a particularly good romantic partner. And there's a debate in the Republican Party about should it matter, because they really want control of the Senate, and they would like to overlook those foibles. And of course, Raphael Warnock has some of his own, his opponent. But I wonder, as a Kennedy, you're kind of a good person to ask, since we now know JFK had, a long line of reported affairs when he was married. And, had we zeroed in on those back then in the country the way it was back then, that might have made a difference politically. Obviously, Ted Kennedy, Chappaquiddick, the whole other story. So what's your opinion? Should it matter if Herschel Walker has other kids who he fathered but didn't take care of, if he got a woman pregnant and paid for an abortion for her and then wound up being staunchly anti-abortion and so on. Should it matter, or should it just matter how the person's going to vote?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I think people. Well, I really can't answer about whether it should matter or not. I mean, I think there's personal integrity and there's public integrity, and that they're two different things. And a lot of people voted for Donald Trump because I'm not believing that he had an exemplary personal life, but willing to overlook that because he was bringing some other things to the table. So I'm not going to say whether people should be concerned about that, about people's private lives. I just read Chernoff's biography of Hamilton. And Hamilton had, a lot of those issues. Hamilton was probably the most, after Washington, the most important leader. He gave us the Constitution. He gave us the federal government, our economic system in this country. And yet he had a lot of personal foibles. And so, but he was a great leader. And I think there's been other people who have listen, humanity is so badly flawed. We all are. We all need help. And I think the question is about whether that people ask is, whether people are striving to be good people and whether they're striving to be good leaders, who genuinely care about people and want to solve problems. And the package that goes into how we assess people is multifarious. There's a lot of different things people have to consider. And so I don't feel like I am in a, can offer anybody advice on that issue.
There's so much to love about fall, right? From the cooler temperatures to the changing leaves, everything pumpkin spiced, Halloween, everything. Love the whole season. What better way to soak up the best of the season than with a Michael Phelps swim spa by Master Spas? A Michael Phelps swim spa combines the benefits of a pool with the therapy of a hot tub. It comes in a variety of sizes to complement almost any yard, even if it's a small one. Master Spas worked with Michael Phelps to develop an at-home training and fitness solution that you can use year-round in any season, even in the winter. As your fall calendar fills up, a Michael Phelps swim spa is the perfect place to spend time together as a family. Michael Phelps swim spas are 100% made in the USA by Master Spas, the world's largest swim spa manufacturer. It is energy efficient. You can use it all year long. Go to masterspas.com, put in the promo code MK to save $1,000 on a Michael Phelps swim spa or $500 on a Master Spas hot tub. That's masterspas.com, promo code MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.